Hey guys, it's Lisa. In this video today I want to talk about the past, present, and future of search engine optimization. But I don't want to spend too much time in the past because I know you guys care more about the here and now and the future. But sometimes you have to go to the past to understand the future. So I'm going to briefly go through this 10-year period here between 2000 and 2010. Now I know 10 years on the web is like 100 years in real time because so much happened, but I'm just going to try to give you guys an overview. So back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, ranking a web page was so incredibly simple, you guys, because it was all about things like meta tags. You could create doorway pages, which were basically one-page websites that focused on the keyword you wanted to target. All you had to do was stuff your keywords in the content, the body of the page, and you were good to go. So for those of you guys that don't know what meta tags are, they're basically just descriptors that go into the head of your page. And if you use WordPress, which is what most of you guys use today, there are plugins like Yoast and All-in-One SEO that will allow you to add these descriptors to your pages very easily. And if you have like a static HTML site, of course you have to do all this manually. But I don't want to spend too much time on this because you can Google this, and I think most people are probably familiar with meta tags these days. So as we progressed through this 10-year period, let's say when we got to 2003, 4, 5, it became more about links. Now links were important, even early on in 2000, but it really became important between 2003, 4, 5, and going forward. And early on, it wasn't even about the quality of the links. It was just the quantity. So people would go to directory submission sites. They would do article directories like ezinearticles.com. And they would write articles, and then the byline would link back to their site. They would do link exchanges. So any way you could get links to your site, that would help you rank well. Of course, as we moved along, it became more about the relevancy of the links, but early on it was just about amassing a bunch of links. Another metric that became very important in the early 2000s was the keyword density metric, which is basically the ratio of the keywords on your page that you want to target to the number of words on a page. So people had figured out, like, hey, if you want to rank #1 in Google, all you need is a 3% keyword density ratio for the keyword you want to target, and you can get #1. I mean, it was really that simple. Now, of course, as we got into 2008, 9, and 10, some of these things became a little bit more tricky. For example, keyword density became harder to figure out. It became more about the relevancy of the links that point to your site and all that. So now I want to focus on 2011 because I really think the last 3 years, 2011, 12, and even now 2013, that's when all of the big changes have happened. 2011, the reason I feel like this was a really big year, because for the first time we started to see websites that had never been impacted by any of these updates get impacted. So it was like the bar for quality had been raised tremendously. So in February, April, and September of 2011, Google launched 3 really big Panda updates. That's what the algorithm was called. The algorithm is when Google decides to change how they rank websites. So the Panda update targeted sites that did too much keyword stuffing, had too much duplicate content, people that had outdated, stale content, and people who just did not have enough quality signals pointing to their site, like social media signals, relevant links, and all that kind of stuff. If you did not meet Google's criteria for a quote-unquote quality website, then you were impacted by one of these large updates in 2011. Now, there were a lot more updates in 2011, but these were the 3 big ones. The other thing that became really big in 2011 was personalized results. So not everybody can see the same search engine results anymore. So you may do a search for your own keywords and see that you rank number 6, but someone else may do that same search and see your site on page 2, the number 12 result. So everybody is seeing a different result. So it's really hard to know exactly where you rank. The only way to really tell where you rank is to log into your Google Webmaster Tools account and look at the traffic reports and look at your average rank for the various keywords. Because Google now ranks websites based on previous searches that you've done, websites that you visited, your social network. So if you are friends with someone in a social network and they like something, then that will show up in your results. So it's hard to really know where you rank unless you check your Google Webmaster Tools account. Now, the other thing that started happening in 2011 is that people started to really question Google's motives. For a long time, it seemed as if Google was rooting for the small business person. But with all of the updates in 2011, people started to wonder if they were starting to try to force people to spend more money on ads and, raise the brand sites and then lower, the small business sites to force more ad spend with Google AdWords. So people started calling Google all kinds of names. I heard them calling them the devil. As you can see, you guys, I'm not a very good drawer, but you get the idea. So yeah, so many people who had been doing this full time had to go back to their full-time job because they had lost most or all of their traffic in some of these Google updates. So the hate on Google spread pretty far starting, in 2011. So now let's go to 2012. Because 2012, it really was more of the same. But there was another big update that happened on April 24th, and that was the Google Penguin or web spam update. So Google basically said, look, this is my sad attempt at a penguin. Wow. Okay, this is a very, very sick penguin. Yeah. But Google basically said, look, we don't like the links that are pointing to your site. So we are that is a sad penguin. Sorry, I had to let me just erase this because I can't even look at it. But anyway, hey, I will never do one of those draw my life videos because this is sad. But anyway, Google is basically saying, look, we don't like the links that are pointing to your site, so we are going to either derank your site completely or lower your rank significantly because we don't like the links that you have pointing to your site. Because for so many years people had been buying links. They were using services like Build My Rank, which I think is no longer, to build up their link profile. So people were manipulating the search engine results to change or influence their rank. So Google got tired of it and they said, look, just because you can amass a bunch of links, that doesn't necessarily mean you deserve to be ranked. It just means you know how to get a bunch of links. So we are going to derank or lower the rank of many of these sites who have been using these linking schemes. But here's one thing I want to mention about the Penguin update. I think there are some misconceptions about it because a lot of people assumed that their decrease in rank was just about bad links. In some cases, that was what it was about. But the biggest thing that I think people don't understand about Penguin is that it was a devaluation in links as well. So what happened is, if you lost your rank, it may not have been because of bad links. What also happened is Google said, look, we are not going to count those links that used to count for your site. So because of that, your rank is going to get lowered. So it may look like a penalty, but in reality, it just means we've devalued those links. So those links from those article sites or those directories that you submitted to, they just don't count as much. So we're going to rank you where you would have ranked if we had not counted those links in the first place, if that makes any sense. The other thing that happened in 2012 with regards to Penguin is that Google started to be a little bit more transparent, and they started sending out notifications to people in their Google Webmaster Tools account. And if they saw links that they didn't trust pointing to your website, you would get this notification. So it would say something like, we've noticed that there are links pointing to your site that are not within our quality guidelines, so you may see an impact in your ranking, and then a couple days later your ranking may go down. So they would give you the opportunity to remove some of those links, and once you do that, you could submit a reconsideration request. And this reconsideration request may help you get your rankings back if you were able to remove enough of the links. Well, this made people nuts because people literally began hiring people to contact other people on their behalf to get links removed, and so it just was a mess. For some people this worked, for others it didn't. So for people who could not get those quote-unquote bad links, unrelated links, spammy links removed, Google introduced a disavow tool. And that's a tool that's attached to the Google Webmaster Tools area. And basically you can tell Google, look, these links are not relevant to my site. Please ignore them. The tricky thing about this tool, though, is Matt Cutts warned everyone when this was announced late last year that not everybody needs to use this tool. In fact, most people don't need to use the disavow tool. The only reason anyone should use this tool is if they received one of those notifications that says, hey, we don't trust some of your links. Because if you use this tool and start disavowing certain links, Matt says, hey, some of those bad links pointing to your site or those irrelevant links pointing to your site may actually help you. So unless you received a notice from us, don't worry about disavowing the links. We're getting better about knowing which ones we can ignore and which ones we're going to penalize you for. And then finally, 2012 ended, well, this was around, I guess, September or October, where Google launched the exact match domain update, where they penalized websites that were only ranking because they chose the keywords in the domain that they wanted to rank for. There weren't enough quality signals like social media signals or relevant quality backlinks pointing to the site to warrant that link. So they demoted a lot of sites that were ranking just because they had the keywords in the domain. So those were the big updates in 2011 and 12. Obviously, Google does a ton of updates a year. I've actually read it's like 500 to 600 updates a year, but those were the biggest ones. So let's talk about 2013. I feel like 2013 is more of a continuation of 2012. Google is making SEO a lot more challenging, a lot more difficult. They are definitely still targeting spammers, black hat spammers, people using linking schemes and things that are against the Google guidelines to rank their websites. One of the big announcements that came out earlier this year is that Google mentioned that there are going to be no more Panda updates announced. Panda is now going to be part of the 500, 600 updates that Google does a year. So there will be no more Matt going on Twitter saying, hey, we just rolled out Panda 15.6 or whatever. It's just going to be part of the regular algorithms. The other thing that we're continuing to see, and I talked about this for 2011, is that personalized search is continuing to get more and more personalized. We're all seeing different results. So a rank of a number 7 is not as valuable in 2013 as it would have been in 2005, because you may rank 7 on your computer, but to someone else you may rank a lot lower. So the average rank is what's more important, and you can check that in your Google Webmaster Tools account. Also in 2013, social media. Social relationships are the new backlinks. Here's what I mean. Let's say you begin following people that have websites similar to yours, or similar topics, right? And so you start talking to these people and building relationships with these people, and they began sharing your content from their social media spaces, so Twitter, Facebook. The more influential people that share your content, so if they have a lot of followers, those people that share your content, especially if they have sites and followers related to what your site's about, those shares are going to be much more influential on your search engine optimization than someone who shares your content that has no following at all. So the relationships that you build with people in your space are so incredibly important. But more importantly, when the influential people share your content, that also matters more. The other thing that's having a huge impact and will continue to have more of an impact as time goes on is your author rank. That is basically derived from your Google authorship. So Google authorship, and you guys can Google it. I'm really trying to keep this from being too long, but it's kind of hard to do. It's basically when you tag your content to your name. So if you use WordPress, they actually have authorship plugins. So if you write an article and the article has your name on the page and it links back to your Google Plus profile, that's how you tell Google, hey, I own this content. So the more articles you write and the more they get shared by people, particularly influential people, that's going to build up your author rank. So author rank is going to start playing a larger role in where your site ranks, because Google's going to look at all the articles you've written, how much they've been shared, how many links you have pointing to your article, and all of that is going to be influencing your search engine ranking over time. So I'm sure, as you guys know, guest blogging has been huge. And after the Penguin updates the Penguin update last year, it became even more popular because people were looking for ways to get quality links. Well, just like anything else, guest blogging has gotten abused, and so Google has started to devalue some of the links from guest blogging. But what I've been reading is that they are going to look more at the person's author rank when it comes to guest blogging, and not so much the website that they're blogging on. So it's not going to matter as much on how many guest blogging articles you have. What really matters is, are people really sharing your content? And that's what's going to drive that author rank up. So that's the future of search engine optimization. It's less about the quantity, more about the quality. So your author rank is your individual reputation based on the links and the shares that the content you write receives. And that is going to play much more of a role in search engine optimization going forward. Now, if you follow the Google Webmaster YouTube channel, you may have seen a video by Matt Cutts on May 13th where he announced that there is a big update coming. It's basically going to be Penguin 2.0, which is going to also go after sites doing aggressive link building. But he also said something a little interesting in that video. It sounds like certain people were kind of on the border or in the gray areas when it came to being impacted by previous Panda updates. And it was almost as if Matt was admitting that Google was maybe a little bit too strict, or the filter was set a little too high with some of the updates. So some of the people that were on the borderline may actually get some of their traffic back. So it's going to be interesting to see how this update pans out. As with anything, especially these big updates, there are always going to be winners and losers. And unfortunately, high quality sites will still be impacted by these updates. Remember, this is an algorithm, so they're never going to be able to get this 100% right. So when these updates happen, unfortunately, sometimes the quality sites get hit. That is why I cannot emphasize enough. You guys know I'm always talking about this, but you've got to diversify. Get away from Google as much as you can, because we cannot control what they do. So if you diversify your traffic to email, to YouTube, to Pinterest, something I have really been experimenting with a lot, and I hope to have more content on that soon. You just can't rely on Google anymore. It's just not a solid business model. It's too dangerous. So what I would say to do today is, first off, if you're just starting, target small niches. If you use the Google AdWords keyword tool, forget that old tip of, looking for topics that get 10, 20,000 searches per month. Look for topics or keywords that get 2 to 4,000 keyword searches per month. Write for humans, not for search engine bots. In other words, don't repeat your keywords tens of thousands of times in your content. Write naturally and use variations of those keywords. Stay away from link building schemes. If it works now, it probably won't work in the future. Build up your author rank by writing stellar content. I'm not talking about the mediocre content that used to work in 2005. I mean going the extra mile so people want to share your content. Incorporate a very good video within your content. Add an infographic or something like that to make the content more interesting. Get involved in social media. Start following people that have sites similar to yours and build relationships so they will share your content. This is the future of search engine optimization, you guys. So good luck. I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next video.